Prince of fuck it. Okay.
All right. Well, this is like the outer limits. It's like, you can't adjust your screen. We're here. So, and while we're here, for the fans that are just going to start joining, we're going to do this.
Okay.
This is True OF Entertainment.
Well, here we go. It's the man that promises you nothing and delivers. It's the veritable man motor mouth. It's Road Woods who feels the need to call himself Robb Vega. It somehow makes him feel important. Anyway, do have a listen and try not to throw up.
Oh, that's too late.
Steve.
Yeah, I'm right here.
My God, mate.
I know. It's a crazy world we live in. It's a crazy world.
Oh my God. I mean,
It's hard to, it's hard to know where to begin with. We have the $600 million gift from the Qatari government, which we just want to call a bribe. Very nice. We've got the South Africans now that are all immigrating to America because you're being oppressed over there as a white person. Just letting you know. I don't know if you knew that or not. So you're being oppressed as a white South African, and you're all coming here now, and we're not letting anybody else in because why would we? God forbid. So there you go. So there's a lot to unwrap here, and the Trump boys violate the Logan Act every day. So there you go.
Remind me what the Logan Act is.
Huh?
Remind me what the Logan Act is.
That you're not allowed to benefit from like your office, and you can't do things with government officials. Here, I'm going to read the Logan Act. Hold on a second. Logan Act. The Logan Act is of 1779. The Logan Act prohibits U.S. citizens from engaging in unofficial diplomatic with foreign governments without the authority of the United States. It was created to prevent unauthorized individuals from potentially undermining U.S. policy, as well as making a profit. And it's in effect today. It criminalizes a dispute between the United States and foreign governments, but it's a whole thing. So, yeah. So, it's very nice. So, apparently.
Yeah, well, I've heard some amazing spin. The thing, we'll start small and get bigger. That's what she said anyway.
That's right.
But, so, okay, I'm going to start with the refugee thing, which is interesting. I've been watching this. I don't want to mock anybody's suffering. That's not my intention. Right. I have no idea what those folks have been through. So there's that. I don't know. I don't know them. I've never met them. Mm-hmm. But the way it's being portrayed,
right?
The thing that is difficult for me is because I'm sort of connected to the media, and I ultimately believe, I hope that if you disseminate the facts across a range of media, you're gonna kind of get to the truth. You look at back in the day, my grandfather. I spent a lot of time with my grandparents as a kid. That's a topic for another story. And the lesson was, if you want to know what's going on, really going on, you get 5 newspapers and you put them down, and you look for the facts that are common amongst all 5. Right. And that's probably where the truth is, somewhere in there. The rest is just waffle. It's bias. It's whatever agendas. I've always kind of tried to practice that. It's a little difficult with online stuff because, man, what? But in amongst that, I've gone with software. Here, there's a range of media that I look at. When it comes to the US, I'll look at MSNBC. I'll look at Fox. I'll look at CNN. I'll look at some of the local newscasts to try and get some idea of what may or may not be happening, and believe nothing until something is proven. That.
Yeah.
But the thing that's been really disappointing for me. So I must just add that within that framework, you because I've lived in the US obviously, and I watch the reporting and I go, yeah, that's probably about right. That seems. I was there. I lived in that state. There was that story of that kid recently that was pulled out of a basement in Connecticut, literally 30 minutes from where I lived. I didn't know him. I didn't know anything about it. but he was there for
You had to
5
clarify
years.
that.
Yeah, he was pulled out of this place. He escaped. One of those people that it was apparently kidnapped and stayed in the house, and he was forced to live in the basement. That kind of crap. And I remember seeing some of the shots of the neighborhood, and I literally drove through there to drop my son off at a kids' party. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, I can see some things and I go, yeah, that's probably about right, or that's not right, or no, Americans don't do that. Looking at the local media, I go, no, that's not how it is, and vice versa. I look at like when the Oscar Pistorius thing was happening, and everybody in New York City became an expert on the Blade Runner, and I go, but you guys have never set foot in South Africa. You have no idea, and why would you, as to where he lived, the circumstances of that killing, whatever you want to call it.
All right.
And everybody took extreme positions. Either he was a total psycho, or yes, in fact, he was defending himself, because they had no idea of the context of how things work here. So I've seen both. Anyway, my point is this. I like to think that somewhere in there I can find a fact. But watching the whole refugee thing, I've been watching the American media and thinking, look, there have been some right-wing podcasts that I've watched just out of interest, because you need to keep an open mind.
Sure.
And I go, no, you're about 20% right.
Okay.
But the other 80% is, the problem is, if you're that wrong, if you're 80% wrong, but you're 20% right, the 20% that you're right about falls away. Now you're just a moron. No, not necessarily. So, for instance, with these refugees, I don't know them. I don't know their circumstances at all. Right. But there have been murders. There have been farm murders in South Africa. There have also been city murders. There have been coastal murders. There have been resort murders. People get murdered. I don't know for a fact whether these guys are being targeted. They do live remotely, so that does put you in harm's way.
Okay.
I can't confirm or deny that they're easy targets because they have maybe little security on the farm. I don't know. Right. But what I do know is, and so I don't know. The position is not entirely sure. And I freaking live here, and I know people on farms.
Right.
They give me a very different picture.
Okay.
That being said, the farmer, anybody who gets murdered, that's bad. Right. But the way it's being framed as if it's this national targeted thing against white people, I'm going to have to go in the no column on that one. Okay. Are there racists on both sides? Sure. Absolutely. Is there a history here? Yes. There is bad blood in every country around the world. I'm sure in Germany, where the war ended 80 years ago, there's still somebody who's hanging on to something. I went to, when I was traveling in Germany, 25 years ago, 30 years ago. Right. It was my first time there. I went to a little town in Köln. They say it Köln. K-O-L-N actually. We call it Cologne. And we stayed in one of these bed and breakfasts that was run by a woman who I suspect had a strong connection to the war. And she was harboring some very Nazi things. But she wasn't representative of Germans, but she was white. She was German, but she didn't represent Germans. Do you know what I mean? So something else happened in her family. She was very pleased to note that despite my wife and I being from South Africa, my wife is of German extraction. So she's got the blonde hair and the blue eyes. Okay. Good. And she was a little bit too happy about that. It was just odd. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that you get these types in every country. You get that. People who hang on to the past, there's stuff going on. And I'm not saying for a minute that this place is perfect. But I'm looking at a lot of the American media and I'm going, your position should be, we don't have all the facts. We haven't lived there. Right. We're seeing shit on the internet and on YouTube and wherever, and we're gleaning this information, and now we are suggesting that this is a fact. And I go, you can't. Well, of course you can take that position, but it's not accurate. You need to be more reserved about making a pronouncement on the fact that you haven't been there. You don't know. I mean, the Middle East, we can sit here and talk crap about it. Maybe you've been there. I haven't been to the Middle East. I have no idea of what's really going on. I have my suspicions, but I've never been to Gaza. I've never been to Israel. I don't know. I just don't know. And for me,
I'm a Jew. You have to go to Israel.
Do I have to go to Israel? Do I have to?
No, I'm a Jew. I'm a Jew. I have.
Well, you have to.
Go.
You haven't been. Have you been?
I've been. No, I've been. Yes.
Okay. But
Stephen,
well, apparently my father was, so that doesn't count because my mother wasn't. So I get a pass. I don't know. But the point is, I don't know. The point is this confident assessment of the situation that people make. This is the problem I have. I don't expect the left and the right of the political spectrum to make noise. Go for it. Go. Free speech. I will defend your right to do that. I don't have to agree with it. We've had this conversation. But when it becomes a statement of fact, I go, you can't know that. You cannot possibly know that. And then it becomes a conclusion, and then aspersions are cast about everybody else. So with these refugees, and as I say, I feel sorry for them. I mean, I can't imagine what they've gone through. They obviously feel it's a big thing to move countries. I've done it 3 times. Mm-hmm. It's a big deal. It really is. So they've sacrificed a lot. That I know. The rest I don't know. And what people around the world, and I'm going to concentrate on the US media, they have now decided that this is what I hear. I hear panelists going on the left saying, those white South Africans should go back to Holland and Germany. Yeah, but they've been in South Africa for 6 generations. What are they going back to? They're not Dutch or German anymore. They originally, their freaking great-great-great-great-great-grandfather may have come from there, but they are from South Africa. They are South African. So you don't get to sit in a TV studio in DC or wherever the hell you are and tell these white South Africans they must go back to Germany and Holland. Why would you say that? Why? It's an idiotic thing to say. Never mind racist. I'm not worried about it. It's just a dumb thing to say. What are they going back to? It implies they came from there. No, they don't.
Which they didn't.
So that's on the left. On the right, you hear things like these white people are getting slaughtered and their farms are getting taken away.
Right.
The land, the Expropriation Without Compensation Act has been passed. That's true. It is there. It's in the law. And it gives the government an option to confiscate land without paying the person who owns it. That's true. Now, as I say, I try to take a journalist view of this and I go, but it's there as a tool if they need it. They've never used it. It hasn't happened yet. That doesn't mean they won't. That's true. Right. They might. But one thing I will say, I'm not a massive fan of the government of this country, as I've already said, but they're not inordinately stupid. They're not going to start, it's going to become Zimbabwe. No. It might be something different, but it's not going to be Zimbabwe. There's a very different dynamic here. You can't put it into the same box. It's very different. There's a very different set of people here. And they know that if they were to just start confiscating productive farms, we'd be in shit. They'd be in shit streets. They've seen it happen. Right. Again, trying to be objective about this, that doesn't mean they won't do it, but they haven't done it. They haven't done it. They might. Right. Then I go into one of these right-wing things there, and the guy says, no, it's happening. It literally is not happening. So that's a fact. It is not happening. It could happen. If you said it could happen, okay, but it hasn't happened. So what you're suggesting is that the war is underway. It is not. There are a lot of older folk in the country who are hanging on to stuff. That is true of every country. Every country. I just mentioned the example in Germany. Right. I love Germany. Berlin is one of the most progressive cities on the planet. In fact, if Elon went there, they would have arrested him for raising his hand above his shoulder. They would have. He would have been arrested for that. But I was showing everybody how much I love them. He go, no, in Germany we don't do that. They don't. They just don't.
They do it privately when no one's watching. Not in public.
I can't comment on that. But So the thing that disturbs me is these bastions of the truth on either side are making these massive pronouncements about this country that I live in, and I go, what shit are you talking about? You that's nonsense. I can't even say that, and I live here.
Okay.
So that's been my week. It's been really disappointing for me. I want to believe that people in leadership, excuse me, it's flu season here. I don't have flu though. It's not flu, it's cold.
You have a bird though. Go ahead.
They don't, you want to believe that leaders around the world, if they start making decisions and policy about a country, that they have all the facts. They don't. They just don't. Again, I'm not saying bad stuff. There isn't bad stuff. But if you come up with 10 facts and one of them is spot on, there is an act that's been passed that allows the government to take away land without paying them. That's true. But then you come up with 9 bullshit things.
Right.
You what you've done is you may have had a point with the act. That's a good point. But now you've completely upended your case. So if I was hoping that you as a leader in that country were going to address the issue of that act, well, I've lost faith in you completely now, because no one's going to listen to the other 9 points that you've made. And as soon as they find out the other 9 points are bull, then they're going to dismiss the 10th one, which actually is true. Right. And this is the thing. On both sides of the aisle, you see this crap, and I go, so really no one actually cares. They don't really care. They don't. If they really cared about South Africa and the plights of Afrikaners and the white people and the farmers, they would come here. They would do some research. They may find that it's true. But to sit over there and throw stones across the pond and claim that you care, it's a little insincere. It's a little. It's that's why I'm wary of making any comments about countries I've never visited. I won't talk about Israel or Gaza. I won't. I don't know anything about it. I've never lived there. I can't imagine what either side is going through. Both sides seem to be very convinced of their position. So my intuitive reaction to that is I don't know the whole picture.
Right.
You've got 2 sides that are so diametrically opposed. I'm not looking at the truth. There's no ways that both of them can be right. So maybe both of them are wrong, or one's half right, one's the other half. I don't know. So therefore, I can't take a side because I don't know. Right. And it's the same with what's happening here. There is stuff going on. Sure, absolutely. Right. Is it worse or better than it was before? I would say that the country has grown socially. I want to finish a story I started a couple of podcasts ago, whatever it is, where I mentioned the lake, the transformation lake. I didn't actually finish this.
Yeah, I know. I remember that.
So everybody starts in the problem position. So if we're here, it would be apartheid and then normality, right?
Right.
Okay. Now, I would argue that South Africa is not in a normal place yet. No. But it's not in apartheid state either. It's somewhere it's in the lake. Conversations are being had. Things are being discussed. There's a lot of corruption that's been uncovered. And people go, that's bad. And I go, yeah, it's bad. But I can tell you now, 30 years ago, there was no corruption. And of course there was. There was tremendous cover-up. So the progress is that it's out there now. Is it good? No. But there's a lot more freedom. I know that this country has gone up significantly in press freedom. I think we're 27th now. By the way, I think the US is about 50th, which is unfortunate.
That's what it is.
That's disappointing for me, very. Yeah. But I will say that the press freedom here is pretty good, and that's a plus. That's good.
Right.
So we're in the lake. We're having the conversations. We're talking. What do we really not know about each other? What can we do? And there's a whole generation of and I'm going to just say this, of people of color in this country who they're like, I don't care about, I never went through apartheid, black and white, actually. We weren't part of that. Can we just make money? Can we just be? Can we just do? Why are you old people stuck in this what is it? Polarized thinking.
Right.
That's your problem. That's the you thing. We want to do our thing. And it is a beautiful country. It really is. It's stunning. So we want to do stuff here, and we want to make money, and we want to get laws passed that help us make money. We want to stop pissing off the people that can help us make money, and basic economic stuff.
Sure.
I mean, my son is of that generation. He could give two shits about any of that political garbage because he's never known it. It's irrelevant to him. Build a museum, remember it, don't do that again. That was bad, but we got that shit around the world. We've got museums and things like the Holocaust. No one's gonna. Well, I don't know. People said they might do it again. I don't know. But the point is, the more you remind people of what the Holocaust was, boy in the striped pajamas, read the books, teach the kids.
Right.
It's less likely to happen. It could happen, but if you forget history, then it can come back. We know this. So, by all means, I've actually said, I'm on record as saying, there isn't enough of a reminder of what this country, I don't mean politically, I mean as an educational tool. This is what the country was. It's not that now. It's not that now. But that's what it was. But embrace the fact that we're not that now. We're not that. And if you think that way, and that's who you are reviled. You are outcast. No one wants you. That goodbye. And we have our and that leads me to talk about these guys that got there, and then the president Ramaphosa here of the country. And by the way, I need to reference the fact that he's 72, so he is from the old guard. Okay. And he instead of being presidential and reaching out, he goes to, are you ready for this? He's never been to a farmers expo. He goes to a farmers expo yesterday, the president of this country, and says that the people that left are cowards. Why would you, mates? You don't know what they've been through. Right. This is and you're giving fodder to a right-wing agenda. They go, you see, look at it. You see, look what he's doing. He's almost threatening them. These people have made a decision. They've gone, and he goes to a farmers expo full of white people, and he says, "Those white people that left, they're cowards. We must stay and solve our problems together." And you go, mate, what? They obviously didn't feel they could talk to you before they left. Just think about that. Yeah. Again, I don't know of either position, but that was an unfortunate thing that he said. So. But the fact is, what was nice and what I wish had been publicized, and it probably won't be in media over there, what is true is you had a black president of this country amongst a bunch of white farmers at an expo, and them all laughing and joking. And
that's good.
Right.
That's like the Rat Pack of the day.
The melanin shit means nothing. We need more of that. I just wish he had gone to those expos in previous years, but anyway, maybe. Yeah, that's fine. It's all bullshit, Steve. It's just you look at these people, left, right, black, white, and you go, but you don't actually care. You don't care because if you cared, you wouldn't say stupid shit like that. And as I mentioned in that whole thing when we spoke about race a couple of weeks ago, which I said means nothing. Race is a tool that is used to divide people. People who need people. People in the world. And then and I'll just say one more thing, and then you can jump all over me.
Well, really, I'm not lonely. So.
For the conversation. So it brings me to my final rant. I have a lot of rants.
I see that. You've been you weren't here last week, so you were built up. So,
God, the white privilege thing came up in conversation with someone I know, and they were going on, and I said, tell me about that, because I want to hear what you have to say. For the sake of context, the person is someone in the broadcasting business with me who is a person of color, who went through stuff, who went through the other side of the apartheid thing, and is hanging on to that as an identity.
Gotcha.
Okay, fine. and they spoke about my white privilege. And I said, okay, what exactly is that? And they said, oh, you don't. She went on a rant about what it is. And I said, like, what I benefited and all that. And I said, okay, so I benefited from the system. Yes, you did. Okay. But the way it's worded, it's as if I had some sort of choice. I don't feel it was a benefit. What is true is a lot of people didn't benefit from normality. That's a fact. But I didn't benefit. I didn't get anything extra. But a lot of people didn't get. So they didn't. So the context for me is inaccurate. It's like saying, and this is a terrible example, but because this particular person raised it, she said, yeah, not all men rape, but you don't know. And I went, okay, so let's talk about that.
Wow.
Right. So a woman who is not raped, is she privileged? Is she privileged? No, that's normal. A woman who is raped, shocking. Now that's the way I look at what happened in apartheid. That's the way I look at the whole color thing. So you got a group of people, and for the sake of reference, those are the white people. So they had a more relatively normal upbringing. There was no benefit. This was normal. This was bad. What I don't enjoy is when people start telling white folks and people of lighter complexion that they somehow were in an elite club and were benefited, hence the privilege. Oh, but we're not saying it's a silver spoon. Yeah, but this is what comes across. Like we dodged a bullet, literally, what we did. Because the guns weren't aimed at us. And we should somehow be grateful for that. And I go, I can't imagine what oppression must feel like. And that maybe, and that would, I guess I'm lucky. I don't know. But I've never looked at people like that. And in the modern day country that is South Africa now, nobody I know looks at that. And they get tired of being reminded of the sins of the past. Most of those people that went over to the US now, those refugees, a lot of them were born after the end of apartheid. So they have nothing to do with apartheid. But they are labeled, because of the color of their skin, as being connected to apartheid and somehow benefactors of it. And you go, when does this end? Because what that does, that conversation, and this is global, what that does, it adds fuel to the fire of supremacy groups, of white nationalists. And they go, you see, look at that. They are never going to forget. They are coming after us. And I go, it's unhelpful. And the people that have remained here, that haven't got to the States or Australia,
that's right.
These people
that are
the white people,
cowards,
want to be part of the club. When you keep telling them and reminding them that people that look like them did all kinds of shit, you go, what is your point? What are you trying to tell me? That I am somehow guilty by association? And that is what I was told. I was told, because of the way I look, I am now complicit by virtue of my race.
Congratulations.
And that is seriously unhelpful. Anyway.
Yes, that's not good. Well, let me just say, this is what the takeaway was, and we were putting things across the bottom banner when you were talking. So when you watch it, I apologize in advance. We took away that murder is bad, and if you get raped, it's not the norm. By a white guy, apparently, according to this black lady. And the South African black president, and I say that he's black, called the white people cowards. So yeah, that is just ingratiating everybody to love everybody. That is awesome. No, the world's screwed up, my friend. It's bad. Let's talk about something that's not as bad. Let's talk about Trump's new gift.
Just can I take I got a joke. I got a joke before you talk about it.
Please tell us the joke.
I got a joke about his well, is it his jet? One doesn't know. Anyway, his hundreds of millions of dollars jet.
Yeah.
And I said today on my show, I said, yeah, people, there's obviously been strong reaction to his jet, whatever. And I said, but what I do know about this jet is that it has 9 bathrooms on it. Nine bathrooms on this jet. And one of them, or maybe more of them, but I know one of them has a bidet.
Yes, that is true.
Then I said, because there's nothing like having a private jet on your private jet. Sorry.
Oh, I like that.
You're welcome.
I know. Thank you. So,
Woo,
well,
look at my jets. Look at my jets. Woo,
all you
feels
need to
good.
do is just put the Asian hookers on that plane, and you're going to have a field day. I know
Oh.
that before you fly in that plane, you should probably have the carpet steam cleaned.
Oh,
Because,
God, yes.
you never know where it's been. But I think it's very cool. I saw pictures of it, and I mean, first of
That's
all,
great.
theoretically, I guess he's not supposed to accept it. And I love this press conference when they said they're giving you a J. He goes, "What am I supposed to do? Say no?" And I'm laughing. I was thinking to myself, well,
Yes.
technically, yes, you are supposed to say no.
Yes.
It's a constitutional thing. But yeah,
No.
don't worry about that. Why would you? And so then I'm like, okay, that's fine. I love the Qatar people. I love Qatar. We go there all the time for Formula One. So I have nothing against it. I see, because we're at Saudi Arabia and we're trying to do stuff in the region. So I can see we're ingratiating ourselves there. But and it's a gift to the United States, but the way they did it, it's a gift to Donald Trump. So to me, it's sort of like if you gifted it to the United States Air Force to let Trump use, I think that would have been different. I think the fact they go, here, Donnie, here's a 600. So now my question is, does Donnie have to pay tax on a $600 million gift? Because theoretically, that's a $600 million gift.
I've got $400 million. Has it gone up in price?
The article that I read in the Financial Times, and they're always correct, said it was worth $600 million.
You know what it is? You know what it is? Tariffs. That's what.
Oh yeah, that's he got.
He's paying a tariff. That's a tariff.
Yeah, he's got to pay a 25% tariff on $400 million. So now it's a $600 million jet. So listen, and I say this and I'm trying to be somewhat sincere to the Qatari government and guys in Doha. Thank you very much. I think you should have given it to the U.S. Air Force to give to Donnie, not to give it to Donnie. And now my question is, Donnie, are you going to have to pay gift tax? Because I know if you gave me a $600 million jet, and I'm still waiting, I'm sure you government would come after me and go, where's our gift tax? So that's an interesting question. Tomorrow on Lost Dollar Business Club, we actually have a reporter from a defense magazine who's been on before, and we'll talk about that and a whole bunch of other stuff, and he'll actually know the answers. So that'll be a fun show. But anyway, that was my big thing. And then I also understand we're going to get rid of habeas corpus now in America.
Yeah.
So I was excited to see that. So basically, there's no law. So that is awesome. They're taking down traffic lights tomorrow. This is going to be great. Green means stop. Red means go. The world's a crazy place. Animals, dogs and cats are living together in sin. It's awesome.
So I'm going to, again, I try not to get in the trench on either side, because it's more fun watching the two trenches play.
Yes.
So the habeas corpus thing was interesting for me. And I referenced my time in the States and the frustrations that my friends who are Republicans, and the one guy actually campaigned for Donald Trump, he did.
Right. Okay.
He's a lovely guy. He's a smart guy. And he explained his position and his reasoning to me. And and you must listen. It's very important to listen. You can disagree, but you need to listen and you need to consider. And there were a lot of things I agreed with him on, as I mentioned. But the most important thing for me, with a lot of folks that backed him and still very much back him, in fact, I would argue that his support's probably gone up, is there's a frustration that people feel. It goes back to not being considered, not being listened to, and what I just described happening here, the way I, for instance, by virtue of my color, I am roped in as being complicit in something like apartheid, even though I was a baby when it all and I was in another country. But I came here as a small boy and it was wrapping up, and then everyone knew it was a problem. Everyone. I grew up with the idea of this shit has to go. There was no one going, yeah, defend apartheid. Whoa, black people, white people, No one was. I'm sure there were some people, as you said, in their private homes going, But I can certainly tell you that the big circle, and even in media, the circle that I knew was big. No one. In fact, it was like that blister you just had to get rid of, because it was holding everything back. To put it on a very crude level, We weren't getting concerts. We weren't getting any sport tours. We were cut off. Nobody wants that. And why? Because what's the stupid laws you people have with how can you not have the majority of your people able to vote? It's bullshit. Right. We know that. Okay, right. So no one was no. But here we are, we're 30 years down the line. Apartheid is a memory. It's still around, obviously, by virtue of the people who went through it. They're older people. And then I come across, I'm sure I'm not perfect because I'm white. You see, that's a problem. But no, I wasn't a victim of apartheid. That's a fact. That's true. Right. I benefited from the fact that I wasn't a victim. What? That's the argument. I benefited because I wasn't a victim. Isn't that what normality is? You see what I'm saying? It's like I've never been, touch wood, in a head-on collision. I have benefited by not being in a head-on collision. That's true. I have non-head-on collision privilege. What are you fucking talking about? And it's just, this is what, it fuels moves in the US to get rid of habeas corpus. I watched Trump talking to someone, and I thought, okay, open your mind roll, listen. Just it's hard, but listen. I'm just trying to understand the motivation for how this has come to. It doesn't come from nowhere. They don't just wake up one morning and go, fuck it, get rid of law and order. Something happens. And my interest is, I don't have to agree with the process, but I want, how do we get here? And it gets back to that thing where a lot of people are feeling disenfranchised, not listened to. I've got a president in power. You know what? I said to someone the other day, a chap who owns a restaurant here, and he actually likes Trump, and it was interesting. And he said to me, America needs a bully. You can't have a weak America. And I went, okay. I get the logic of that. You can't have the leader of the free world looking like, and I'm sorry to say it, sorry, what was the question again? You need someone, you need the leader of the free world, the guy that sits in the White House has to be a larger than life figure. It just comes with the job. And people around the world are quite they're comfortable. He's got a lot of support here, by the way, and in the UK and across Europe. And it's not so much his policies and his tariffs as his vibe. Like, I don't take shit from anybody, and I'm a showman. And you can dismiss that, but people, they're like, this is strength. We could have a whole debate and say, is that strength? Is it really? That's what the perception is. And a lot of folks say, you want a guy there who just gets shit done. He gets shit done. Now, you've got all these people, millions of immigrants flooding into America, and we need to get rid of them. And we've got all these courts dicking around and doing it. Excuse me. Let's just trim the fat. Let's short circuit things. Just get things done because we want to get on with the business. Excuse me. Living and loving and having fun.
Sure. And
we just want to get this done. So can we just get rid of what is this habeas corpus? Yeah, get rid of that. And we might bring it back, but for now we won't. But let's just clear the pathway because we know these people are guilty. They're here illegally. Let's get rid of them. And you know what, Stephen? If you want to tackle the problem and talk about it, you can't just go, oh, that's all bullshit. It's a fact. That's what people think. And that is why the US has got a situation where that is being considered and why it is a popular and comforting idea to a lot of people because they're sitting there, the world's a shitstorm, their expenses are going up, whatever. And he said, this is your problem. You've got these people, blah, blah, blah. And they go, oh, okay. Well, can we get rid of that? Now, we can make jokes about it, but that's why we're here. We have to. So when I go and have conversations with people and they tell me I'm complicit because of my race, I don't necessarily go into the Trump room and go, yeah, Donald Trump, get rid of immigrants, all that. But I understand it a lot better. I go, I know why those people are in the Trump room. Because they've had not the same experience as me, but they're tired of being told who they are, what they look like, connects them to some violent bullshit that they had no part in, and they're being told how they're these huge benefactors, and they're going, oh, what? Oh, what did I benefit from? Oh, you never considered in any kind of racist category. Okay, well, I'd like you to come into my club, but I don't want to be in yours. So the point is, if being normal is a privilege, then we need everybody on board. But we can't be saying that because you're in a slightly more normal position, the people that weren't in that get to just throw stones at your normality. You know, bullshit. Let's get everybody onto the normal page, rather go up than down. So with this subtle subliminal attack on people, that's how they end up in the Trump room. That's why they're there. Because they go, yeah, okay, tariffs, schmarifs, whatever. Yeah, a bit of pain. That's why they will put up with it. I'm talking in an American context, describing things also here. Why you have people here looking at someone like Donald Trump, accepting refugees or whatever you want to call them. That's why they think that, because they're just freaking fed up. And I've recently had a situation where I've had people, a certain person that, like, not necessarily attacking me, but making me feel like a schmuck because of something I have zero control over. That's what apartheid used to be. That's what we've left that behind, haven't we? What are we doing? People at face value. What do you deliver? What's inside your head? What are your ideas? Yes, you're black. I'm white. So what? You know, we've discussed this. It doesn't mean anything. But if you want to keep making it mean something, then understand that people are not going to be happy with that. And then they're going to join an unfortunate or whatever different group. They're going to go, oh, bugger this. Let's stick a guy in the White House who says, I'm not chatting with you people. I'm just getting this done. Okay? Yeah, you can moan all you like. We're going to arrest this guy, grab that guy, because we're getting stuff done. We're getting our identity back. We're getting our power back. Because you buggers gave it away. You let all these people in, like, oh, we all love each other, and look what happened. So we're taking it back. And I don't necessarily agree with it, but you start to go, I know where the rage comes from.
Interesting. The problem with that is that we have this thing called a constitution, and we have some laws, that blind justice thing going on.
Yeah.
I
don't agree with it, Stephen. I'm just saying.
Why? No, I'm saying I understand, right? But I understand, and I also stand to your point. The problem is that today it's going to be, let's say, people we don't like let's say, like in the 1930s, it was Jews, and then it's someone else. So now we're doing immigrants, right? And then and then when the immigrants are done, who knows what the next group is, and the next group, till you start targeting then U.S. citizens, or maybe. And Trump loves the Jews, so this is a good thing. But if he didn't love the Jews, then we'd be all wearing stars. And I'm not saying that would actually happen, but my point is that once you get rid of, you can't wear stars anymore? I wear Star David. Anyway, once you get rid of one thing, it's a slippery slope. I don't mean Asian people, but once you get rid of one thing, it's a slippery. What happened? You can't say Asian. Once you get rid of one thing, thank you. I'm here till Thursday. Once you get rid of one thing, it becomes a slippery slope to the next, to the next, and to the next, and then before you know it, it's going to be like, oh shit! Like, what did we let happen? So that's kind of the issue with everyone. Like I understand your point. It's same with the airplane. I don't really give a shit. Enjoy your plane. I don't care. All this stuff becomes sort of a slippery slope as people do things. The other day Donald said, "Hey, buy my Bitcoin, and the top 10 people can play golf and lunch with me at Mar-a-Lago, and the number one guy could get a tour of the White House." So when you're the president, and I know people want a tough, guy, that's awesome. But if you openly, I don't want to say corrupt, but if you're openly saying you can bribe me or you can gain my favor, at what point then do we say, whoa, Mr. President? I mean, all the presidents have been corrupt. Let's just none of them are without sin, but he's doing it very openly. So in a way, I kind of give him credit, because it's like, hey, listen, I'm going to make money while I'm here, and I'm okay. The bad part is that at some point, though, we're going to be no better than, if you will, Russia. Trump will be the Putin, or he'll be what's his face out of Turkey. And so that's where the issue becomes. And if that's what the American people want, to be under, if you will, a dictatorship where there's no free press, there's no freedom of speech, there's no this and there's no that, then great, we're heading in that direction. If we want to have a land of liberty, then there is somewhere in the middle of, and Richard Nixon is one of my favorite presidents for many reasons, but there's somewhere in the middle of a Richard Nixon and a Donald Trump and a Ronald Reagan, in that, you know what I mean, and an Abe Lincoln, and George Washington, a Grant, however you want to do it, or Roosevelt. You can get your, if you will, I'm a strong authoritarian president, still letting people, still having running a democracy, whether it's female or male or whatever. So I think, we talked about this survey a couple of times. Brown Car Guy brought it up. But, people under 30 go, I think living under dictatorship would be great. And I'm like, then go to North Korea for about a month and let me know how you like it. And I think it's kind of like, I really like X, whatever X is. And when you get it, you realize, it's not as the shiny toy I thought it was. So I think what's happening is, his poll numbers are down. And I remember The Economist the other day, and so the New York Times were saying now Trump's like 39% now. Like there's like 39% approval rate. So I think what's happening is he sees that and they go, when these poll numbers are up, the blonde chick from North Korea that he has as his spokesperson says, the president's great. The president's great. The president's great. And then when they're down, she says, we don't believe in the poll numbers. Well, sweetheart, speak out of one side of your mouth, not your butt. To the point I'm bringing up, though, is that he's kind of going to the left. That's what he did yesterday with the drug thing, right? Going, hey, we're going to cut drugs, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70%, 80, 90, 100%, free drugs. And it's like, okay, so he's trying now to go, oh shit, like this is bad. And the other thing is when they talk about like, we're going to cut Medicaid for all these people that can't afford stuff, or Social Security. And now he's realizing that's bad because some of them are MAGA and Trump people. So now he's kind of in a point, even with his tariffs, where we started a tariff war. And I don't know if you realize this, but the tariff war we acquiesced to everybody pretty much. It's back where it was. Nothing's really happened here. It's gone back to like the middle of the pot. So I think it's great for TV. It's a nice little movie or mini series. Now we need to get back to the normality of running our country and then being what we need to be for the world, I guess the policeman of the world, blah, 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 because you don't want China and Russia to be the policemen of the world. And that's where that's heading, even though there's an article in The Economist talking that China outweighs Russia like 1,000 to 1 and everything. So not that I have anything against China. I'm just saying, there's a thing between democracy and socialism and capitalism, where China has as a capitalist country that's social, kind of, but it's more of a dictatorship. Russia is just run by one guy. Trump likes authoritarians, and he wants to do peace now. I'm reading this morning in the Financial Times with Syria and this and that, and I'm all for peace. But at what point do we say, listen, what are you going to do to the Syrians? Go, if you don't do it, we're going to bomb you. I mean, same with Pakistan and India. He's like, we're going to broker a peace deal. It's kind of what he's doing in the Ukraine and Russia. So there's a lot here. And let me just say this before you go on your rant. I agree with a lot of his policies. I don't agree with the way they're being executed, because I don't think kicking everybody in the balls just so you can get on the 6 o'clock or the news cycle every 10 seconds is the way to do it. A lot of stuff you could do quietly and you get it done. And then at the end of the month, you can go, oh, by the way, in the month of March or April, this is the 50 things we got accomplished. And people are like, well, that's very nice, very nice. And now he has these press conferences. And I hate to say this because he is the president. He's no better than Biden at these press conferences. He goes off on a tangent. And I'm like, dude, you're a senile old guy. I mean, the other day he was talking about the shot that helps fat people. It became a shot, it became a pill.
Oh, no, the fat shot.
Right. So I'm like, dude.
Glad he didn't mention the guy's name. Wow.
I know, right? I got a little worried about that. But my point is that he sounds no better than Joe Biden when he starts riffing, because he just kind of goes off and what was the word he said he invented? He invented a new world called equalizing. I don't know if you realize this, but in the dictionary, it's been there for a few
Sure.
hundred years. So my point is,
So what's
when
Queen
he-
Latifah been doing on the
Right.
Equalizer?
equalizer. So, but my point is that when he says stuff like that, I'm like, you made fun of Sleepy
Okay.
Joe. That now you need
I wanna-
to.
You got about 10 things I want to respond to. Okay.
Okay, number one.
First of all,
Yeah.
the reason why he's there is because people didn't want a politician. They wanted something different.
And they got it.
They got it.
Yeah.
And there will be, and here's the thing I have realized, and I do, because I watch both sides. I see what people say on both sides.
Right.
And I'm not patronizing the right-wing guys, but a lot of them know that he's, there's the issues, but they will put up with it because they will say things like, yeah, but Biden did it.
Right.
Biden this. You mentioned the corruption. They go, yeah, but Hunter Biden, the laptop, corruption.
Right.
So they will, hey, if the president wants to have a plane, well, Biden did something. So they will overlook that. And the point I'm making is, in their mind, somebody else started the fight and Trump is finishing it. So it's okay.
Gotcha.
Whether that's right or wrong, that's in their mind. They said, the Democrats did this, they did that, they let the immigrants in, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So you know what, if the president wants to get a plane, whatever, they will put up with it. I remember the comment when Hillary Clinton lost, or no, not the popular vote, but obviously the electoral college vote in 2016, and they identified older white women as the reason why Trump won. I don't know if you remember that. I seem to recall something along those lines. So all the polls tracked, except older white women, not necessarily with a college degree, voted for Trump. They said, and some of them were college graduates. And they said, what was the thinking? They said, yeah, well, guys are guys. But Hillary, we don't trust her. Fellow woman, we know what's going on. Now, you can laugh about that, whatever you want, but people, they vote emotionally. That's what they do.
Right.
And if they think that the left, for example, the Democrats, if they feel a sense of dishonesty, inconsideration, they will overlook a lot of things, like a plane, like, okay, he's a businessman, he's selling Bitcoin, whatever, isn't he? Isn't he a real estate guy, whatever?
But you're not allowed. But you're not allowed to do that as president, though.
But I know, but they're going, I don't care, because apparently, and I've heard this from a lot of people, Stephen, you can say what you like, but these are people who, this is what they say. They go, yeah, we'll have to have a bit of pain to get the long-term gain. He knows what he's doing. You may think that he doesn't, but that's what they think. He knows what he's doing. So he's a Bitcoin guy. He gets planes for free, and his sons are doing stuff in the Middle East. He's a businessman. Come on, Stephen. He's got to keep, this is what he does. It's who he is. He's not a politician. He's a businessman.
Right.
Okay. So I'm just giving a bit of context here.
Well, if I may, really quick, you have to
hang on.
divest of your businesses when you become president. Though.
Yeah, no. Stephen, I'm not dismissing the fact.
Right.
I am telling you the group of people that you need to change their mind so that another person can potentially be voted in. That's where their heads are at. So the challenge is to have a chat with them and see, look, I don't know how you do it. I have no idea how you do it. But that's what you have got to change people's minds. And that's where they are right now. They feel so let down by one group, so they're with the other group. That's what they think. All right. So good luck building that trust. We've said this before. When Biden pulled out of the race and everybody could see he was not in good shape, and they pushed Kamala Harris in and blah, blah, blah. As an outside observer and someone who has, I wouldn't say I'm an expert on the process, but I know pretty much how presidential candidates are picked. That was a pile of bullshit. They just pull her out the card, boom. There was that's what primaries are for. She was put forward. And if I was a Democrat voter, I would have gone, hang on a second, never mind a Republican voter. I'm a Democrat voter. I'm going, oh, hang on a second. So you knew there was a problem with him.
Right.
Why did you were going to let him, trust is broken. Now, Stephen, this is not about what you and I think. I'm telling you what That's what people saw, and they went, okay. And by the way, I don't want my daughter seeing a man's junk in the bathroom. Donald Trump gets my vote. I don't have to like him. If he wants to get a free plane, whatever. That's not why I'm supporting him. People are attacking me for who I am, what I believe. The blue people, oh, we must take everyone. This is you've got to look, if you want to change the thinking or move it, you've got to get into that room and listen and hear what people. We said this before the election. He's going to win because people don't feel like anyone is listening to them. That was the one thing I want to say. The drugs thing is interesting because Bernie Sanders has been saying that for decades.
Yes, he has.
I mean, for decades, he's been talking about prescription drugs. Yep. So what you have to realize, rightly or wrongly, is that not necessarily Donald Trump, but he has got some really smart media people around him. And they were going, you know what? Let's use that drug thing. What was his name? Bernie said, I don't know. We came up with that. Like you coming up the word equalizer.
The fat guy in London. We're going to use him. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to get him in there. And they do that. And they smart and they plan. You can't think that the biggest mistake you can make, and we know this, probably an art of war or something, never think your enemy is stupid. Never discount them. Imagine they are the smartest person on the planet, and that's where you've got to come from. How do you go with anyway? So, but on a few other things I wanted to say. So he's not a politician. The problem is these people are not qualified to negotiate shit, which is interesting. And it's about a team. People want to be in a team, Stephen. They want to be in a team. So when your team, you're in a team. People love teams. This is why sports is so popular. There's not a lot of difference between the political climate there and two rival teams in a city. It's very similar. It's a very similar. So neither team can do anything right in the eyes of the other team, and it's about destroying them and winning. What's the difference? It's the same thing. So your coach can do whatever the hell he wants as long as your team wins. So he can get a jet, he can buy Bitcoin. Yes, it's not allowed. So what? Shh, don't tell anyone. Okay. So that's the challenge you're up against. And one thing I will say, one final thing I will say is that woman or whatever it is, his press secretary. Do you know who Jeff Dunham is? The ventriloquist.
Yeah. I love Jeff. He's great.
I've seen two of his performances. He's been to South Africa a few times, and I've been to all of his performances. He's very, very good. I remember a baboon climbed into his room when he was at Sun City. Crazy.
Oh, wow.
And that was scary.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know if he made a puppet out of it. I'm not sure. Anyway, so he's got Walter and all of them. Peanuts. No, okay.
Ahmed.
Every time I see that woman at the press conferences, it feels like I don't necessarily know if it's Donald Trump, but let's imagine it is. There's Donald, and literally he's got his hand in wherever, and she's
her skirt, which she's used to.
Absolutely a puppet. And the thing, and this is going to sound very patronizing, and I'm intending it to. Okay. One day, maybe when she's a lot older, because she's a baby now, she's younger than my daughter. One day, when she actually grows up and gets a sense of self-identity, and the world is very different, and maybe things are more normal. I don't know. She'll look back on it when she's like in her 50s, and she'll go, "Oh my God!" Yeah. Or there was nothing of me in that person coming there. Or maybe she will go, I didn't do it.
Or she'll be like the lady you met in Germany that secretly goes into the closet and gives the high five salute.
But the thing is, Stephen, the reason why, I'm trying to do a favor and I don't mean to be, but the reason why I don't think it's her is a lot of the big issues that she talks about and the positions she takes. Yeah. It takes decades of hatred to get to that. And she's already there.
Her college,
so she's unloading an agenda which doesn't match with her youthfulness and naivete.
According to her university roommates and whatnot, she's been like that since the university days and before. So no, that's just her.
Well, it's sad then. All I can say, it's very sad because then she was obviously never young and she's missed out on the best time of her life.
It is what it is.
What else did I want to say to you? That was about it. Yeah, I just wanted to say, I think, again, politicians tailor their message,
Mhm.
things that work for them. Every single politician, left, right, middle, backwards, forwards, underground, above ground, none of them are trustworthy. None
I
of them.
agree.
Whatever. I mean, you look at a guy like across the pond, Boris Johnson, who
Right.
we mentioned, Boris Johnson, anti-Brexit, always got to be part of the EU. And then suddenly he realizes, hang on, it's going to really work for me if I take a pro-Brexit message. He didn't give a shit whether Brexit happened or not. But suddenly he was the Brexit spokesman. He was there with a bus with these fake figures on the bus, and it worked for him. He became the prime minister. So that's what politicians do. They don't care. So the challenge is to find one that remotely, I don't know. How do you find one that speaks to your interests? Not sure. Don't know.
Yeah, let me ask you.
I'll tell you what you do. I'll tell you what you do. That was my point. So people in the US know that. And yeah, they know that. So they go, yeah, politicians, bullshit. Trump. That's why. That's why.
Yeah.
And they know he's pussies and done whatever. They know that about him. The man is not a mystery. So when he does stuff, people go, oh, your progressives go, oh, and the people that, that's what he does. That's what he is.
We always know what he does. Hey, so one thing before we go, what do you think about the new Pope, the Chicago Pope from America, Bobby? I'm not calling him whatever they call it, but his name is Bobby. Bobby from Chicago. If I ever meet him, I'm gonna be like, hey, Bobby from Chicago, how you doing? You know, it's like that's Bobby. How you doing? Slap me some love, baby. So, what do you think of the new Bobby?
What do I think of the new Pope? Well, I'm not going to say what I really think.
Why not?
Not about him. Not about him, because it's not helpful.
Oh, about the Catholic Church, that's a whole nother thing. Yeah. But I'm just talking about Bobby. What do you think about Bobby?
My father, who was of Jewish extraction, was raised in the Catholic Church. So you can imagine that I have a few stories.
I'm sure you do.
I will leave those for now.
There you go.
Well, I think of him. Well, first of all, I don't know him. He seems, I've literally seen little pictures of him on YouTube. So
He's a little guy. That's why.
I don't know. I must say, when I first saw him, I thought, he looks Italian.
Yeah.
He did. When they said he was American, I went, I don't know what American is supposed to look like. More Hollywood, I'm not sure. But he just didn't look, he looked like he was from, I don't know, from the Vatican. That was my first time. He looks like a little Italian, you know. But
give me a meatball.
What do I think about him? I don't know, Stephen. I think it's all right. I think it's good. People have said he's a normal guy. He seems to be down to earth. He posted some things about Trump and Vance that weren't particularly positive. I don't know.
For him.
You know about that, right?
Yep.
He didn't. It wasn't necessarily judged. He wasn't judging him saying. He was just passing some lessons, some things they had said.
Right.
So I don't really know. I will say this. I love stirring this part, and you're a New Yorker, so you will enjoy this. You can keep your deep dish pizza, mate.
Yeah,
if you like deep dish pizza, then I don't want to know you. I don't know what that is about. That's me just.
Stirring the pot.
I love New York pizza. Is that's pizza? I don't know.
You got to fold it. You got to fold the pie. You can't have the dish. You know, I guess JD Vance will visit this guy, and we'll see if he dies 10 hours later.
Oh my God! I thought the same thing. Jeez, like JD visits the old Pope, and bang, the guy drops dead. I'm like, whoa! Just keep JD away from Leo, please.
You see, I can't call him Leo because his name is Bobby. I don't want that. Why don't they just call him Bobby the 14th or some shit? I like that. That's a cool name for a pope.
Pope name. I don't know.
What's Leo's not a pope name?
He can't be Pope Bob, apparently, Stephen.
It's Pope Bobby.
Cool. Hey, Bobby. Pope Bobby, how you doing?
Bob, because you know people in Chicago are like, yo, hey, Pope Bobby, how you doing over here? You know, so yeah, I love the Pope. I listen, and being Jewish, I just want to say I do love the Pope. I think he's got the cute, funny hat going on. He's got those cute little slippers. He's got better clothing than any Kardashian. So you go, Pope Bobby.
Hell
I'm
yeah.
just saying. I'm telling
Better
you.
jewelry too.
Can I please? And
I
and
mean,
he's got his own
please.
little, he's got his
No,
own
I
little
don't know.
city going on.
I love the whole. I don't know too much about Chicago. I've literally passed through. I still want to go and spend a bit more time there. It's what Frank Lloyd Wright, whatever, designed most. Was that him?
Frank Lloyd
designed
Wright,
most of the
sure,
city?
he was an architect. Yeah, sure. He
Yeah, I
designed
mean,
something.
his goal was to make Chicago the most beautiful city on the planet, and I've
Well, they failed. No, it's a very pretty city. It's very nice, and it's very windy.
So
And I will tell you, it gets cold there.
I know that I passed through in winter, and it was not a pleasant experience. But
Yeah.
and I do like the cold. But I actually wanted to be an architect when I was a kid, so that's why
Wow.
I know a little bit about that. So I need to come there and just, I don't have to live there or stay there or whatever. I just want to look at the city and see what the fuss is about. Architecture.
Hey,
Just
take a tour. It'll take you 6 hours, and you're done. You can leave.
you go to New York and have a proper pizza.
That's right. And then you go, you can fold your pie, not that deep dish, ridiculous shit. That's like a quiche. That's like a quiche. A deep dish pizza is like a quiche. It's not a real manly. It's not a real manly pizza. Wait, we have a comment from a fan. And Riza from Riza from Habano Saturday says, I want to pretend to be an architect. So yes, so there you go. So one of our other hosts from another show wants to be an architect when he grows up one day as well.
Yeah,
so that's pretty fun.
Yeah, Stephen, I've actually got somewhere in my paperwork. When I was 12, I designed this house with a lounge. It was a round lounge, and then above it was a round bedroom with a spiral staircase. I mean, I had these and the top was I'm giving stuff away here, but it was like an observatory that opened up. Huh?
Really?
Huh?
Yeah, like a flower.
I had that
like a flower.
Yeah, like a flower. Exactly.
Like a flower.
The bedroom was like an observatory, but then there was a spiral staircase that went down into a round lounge.
Okay.
I think I had the staircase not in the middle, but obviously not in the middle of the bedroom, but to the side. And then there were these two wings that came off with cupboards that concealed the rooms. This was like a little fireplace area, like what did I call it? A snug area. This is 12-year-old me, and the other side was a massive bathroom. So yeah.
Well, you like your massive bathroom.
I drew it.
Rizza just wants to also say that the only reason he wanted to become an architect is because he played. Oh, I better read the whole thing. He played with Lego sets as a kid in the 70s. So there you go. That's what we all did. Now the Lego sets. When we were kids and had Lego, they were like, "Here's some blocks, build a house." Now the Lego sets is like, "Here's a Lego set, build a spaceship." I'm like, "Well, I wanted Lego when I was a kid." Lego. What do you call it?
Lego.
Lego. Yeah, it's a Lego.
No, I'm impressed because I thought most folks called it in the US called them Legos. I've heard people I know
it's Lego.
No, but I've heard folks in the US call them Legos, and I go,
that's because they don't read. It's Lego. It's Lego. It's not that difficult. There's no like it's Lego land. It's not Lego's land.
Steven, ask some people there. Ask them what it's called. They'll go Legos. Where your Legos? I don't know. You can call it anything you like for all I care. They're fun.
And according to what we should actually have him come on this show next week. I mean, you two together, I could just sit here and do nothing.
Lego.
He said Trump and MBS are playing with a much bigger Lego set today, which is true. They're together in the Saudi Arabia in the desert. They're riding camels. They're doing that brotherly love. It's a beauty. And MBS is wearing his nice flowing stuff, and Trump's in a suit, sweating his balls off. So there you go. Yeah. And Pope Bobby is doing.
I'll say this, Steven.
Yeah.
And because my opinion doesn't mean shit to anybody. There.
Only to me it does.
It shouldn't mean anything. But I honestly could give two shits if the man gets the plane or not. As long as the thing that did concern me though, slightly, is a lot of people said, well, he's not really getting the plane. It's going to be, it's going to go to the U.S. government. And then I went, but I heard it was going to the Trump library afterwards.
That's after he becomes.
What the hell does the library need a plane for? Sorry?
Are you kidding? If somebody wants to take out a book, how are you going to get them the book? You get
I
them
thought
the
that was
book
odd.
The plane.
Did I read that correctly?
Yeah,
I read that
he's going to make
correctly.
the Trump library is going to be the plane. They're going to make the plane. a
Oh, so
library.
the plane will be a library. Is that what you said?
That's my understanding. Usually what happens when Ronald Reagan's plane is at his library, but it is on permanent loan from the Air Force. So this is a private plane, and that's a little different. So I think that's
You
why.
never take books out. You fly with the books.
You fly with the books. You never know when you need to take your book somewhere.
You know,
Your
you
book should
can
have a
read the
receipt.
book, but you can't check it out.
All right, there you go. It's a beauty. This is, let me tell you, if I told somebody a million years from today that this is what happened, they would look at me like I am on every kind of drug known to man, which I am. And
It's fun.
and
I'm
it's
enjoying
just-
it. And
it's great.
disturbed by it at the same time. What
And
can you do?
it's just
I mean,
not.
Stephen,
Yeah.
what are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? Hey, Pope Bobby. You know what? Hey, Pope Bobby. We know the Vatican watches this show. Come on the show and be a pope. Come be Pope Bobby. You know that's
Love
the
it.
problem.
Love
If
it.
I ever meet the Pope, I'm gonna be like, hey, Pope Bobby, how you doing? He's gonna be like, my name is no, it's not your Pope Bobby. It's the way it is. And you know what's funny? If he would call himself Pope Bobby, more people would be like, that's the Pope. Because this Pope Leo shit, you sound like a fagula. I'm Pope Leo
Yeah.
the 14th.
I don't know.
Yeah, turn a bar
I don't
stool
know.
upside down, get 4 of your friends together. But you be
You gotta
Pope
be
Bobby.
fancy.
You're a Chicago
Stephen,
guy.
you gotta
Yeah,
be fancy. You gotta have
yeah.
this- you gotta have the Pope name. Come on.
Pope Bobby. I like it. That's his new name, Pope Bobby. I like it.
Okay.
So Pope Bobby has a long and healthy reign. Don't meet JD Vance. That's all we can tell you. So, so my friend, you have to probably go and do something in South Africa, like
Yeah,
apartheid or
live.
something. Or I don't know. Or
Yeah.
you got to do something.
And
So
people are
everybody
bold. They're
that
like,
watches
can you just shut up already?
now, they love us. They tell me that privately, secretly, when
Really?
I'm drinking. Anyway, and I see pink elephants too. But everybody that watched, thank you so much for watching. If you watch the live show, if you're watching this rebroadcasted on Friday morning, good morning or good afternoon, wherever you're watching it from. Don't forget, we'll be back next week, Wednesday live. Sorry, but we will be. And so don't forget to subscribe and like. I'm Steve. This is Robb Vega, and we will see you all next week. Cheers, everybody.
Thank you so much for listening to this Old Woods Robb Vega, whatever the hell he wants to call himself, fellow. You know, this podcast thing, it makes him feel very important, and he's a difficult fellow as it is to deal with. So thank you so much for putting up with him, and do take care.